and this is a brief history of graphic design. Throughout the history of graphic design, it can be seen that it both influenced and was influenced by trends in fashion, film, music, history, politics, art, and religion. Early graphic design was produced by craftsmen who were members of trades guilds of printers and signwriters. Woodcuts and wood engravings are often early examples of strong graphic images. In addition to telling stories and acting as works of art, they were the principal method of recording daily events until the invention of photography. Graphic design itself was not a profession, though. With books, for example, one person carried out every task required in the production of a book: editing, typefounding, printing, publishing, and even selling. Shown here is Gutenberg's Bible, circa 1455. This was the first book to be commercially mass-produced, and it ushered in the modern age of printing. Art from around the world influenced the directions graphic design took. Japanese prints derived their strength from simplicity of composition and subtlety of color. The influence of Victorian pattern and ornament is still evident today in contemporary design. Stained glass requires the artistic skill to conceive an appropriate and workable design, and the engineering skills to assemble the piece. The window must fit snugly into the space for which it was made, must hold up to the weather, and be able to support its own heavy weight. It is this kind of thoughtful design and craftsmanship that carries on in graphic design today. The earliest designs were printed from wood blocks, until metal blocks were introduced in the mid-15th century. It wasn't until the mid-16th century that type design became separated from printing. Around 1530, Garamond established an independent type foundry to sell cast type ready to distribute into the compositor's case. His work brought a greater harmony of design between the characters and allowed for them to be in a closer and tighter space. The legibility of books rose throughout the century as printers used his typography. After centuries with little progression, the 19th century saw printing technology take leaps, and graphic design grew with it, establishing itself as a profession of its own right. It had spread largely into the fields of packaging, presentation, display, and advertising. From here, graphic design continued to develop alongside new ideas and techniques in architecture, industry, engineering, technology, and commerce. Henry de Toulouse-Lautrec had a great influence on the modern medium of the poster in the late 1800s. He understood posters as a means of communicating with other people and collecting an audience. During this time, type was being experimented with more in its arrangement and composition, breaking the accepted standards to find more original and effective ways to communicate. Much of what we know of as graphic design stemmed from this time period, largely because of the arts and crafts movement founded by William Morris. His ideas were extended to printing and book production, as well as furniture, wallpaper, and fabrics. Stylistically, much of the decorative arts movement known as Art Nouveau's origins lay in Morris's designs. The sweeping curves and ornament that stemmed from this was a huge influence on design and transferred to a variety of objects. Among those influenced was Henry van de Velde, whose Tropon poster is shown here. The most important influence on contemporary design was the Bauhaus, established in Germany after the First World War. Walter Gropius founded the Bauhaus School of Art and Design, where he taught principles which have become fundamental to nearly all aspects of modern design. Their philosophy was to bring art and technology closer together. They believed typography should be clear communication in its most vivid form. In the United States, mass production led to mass advertising, which created a need for graphic designers. Lester Beale pioneered the idea of producing a corporate image for a company. His design work for Caterpillar led to the use of a company symbol on several machines and products. Design took root in printing. An advanced printing technology radically changed the way designers work. With computer graphics and the internet, designers continue to solve problems within the constraints of the technology available to them. and the parameters only increase. But one thing is for sure, new technology will never actually replace the process of design itself.